May 21st, 2020. So, getting ready to clean these frames up the rest of the way and install foundations. What do we need to do that? We need a Hive tool for scraping and prying, a staple gun for stapling, well, you'll see, stapling the slat back in, a wax bucket, so we have a place to put wax that we scrape off. You don't want to leave that all over. That can encourage hive beetles, bears, all sorts of stuff. You don't want to leave your apiary smelling, or your yard in general smelling like wax. You need your frames that you're going to work on. And since we're installing wax foundations, we need wax foundations. I was really fortunate. The guy that I got all my bee stuff from included a box of, well, it was a box of 100 wax foundations. It's not 100 now because I've been using it, and I think he was using it beforehand, but there's still a good amount in there. So foundations, these are wire foundations, and they just they come separated with paper so they don't stick together. And you can see that they're wire, and you can see there's a hook on the edge here, sort of, and that's where your foundation goes underneath this slat. So what I'm going to do is clean this frame up quick, and then I'll show you that. So I'm one person, so it's kind of hard to show this process in action. But what you do is you get down in the corner with your Hive tool and you start to pry this up. And then you work your pry line along. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 nails, brads, or staples here holding it in. And sometimes there's just one on each end. I tend to put 3 in. Actually, there's a bunch in this one. But you just want to work way along so that you don't break your slat. Not that that's like critical failure, but you know, might cause yourself problems. So that comes out. We set that aside. And sometimes when they have brads through them like this, you can just kind of hammer them back in place. You got to put them back, but we'll see how that works out. The other thing you got to do is make sure that that groove is clean, so that your foundation, the flatter edge of the foundation here, will slide into that, because you're going to slide into that and you're going to pull flat and straight, and then you're going to catch these wire hooks in the bottom with this slat. That's how you fasten them in place. Okay, so you can see I cleaned that groove out. Not super well, just enough I can get the edge of the foundation in there. And take this paper off. The wax paper. Haha. Oops. And you can see, even on a warmer day like today, you can see how this foundation where the wire runs through tends to want to like crack. So you got to be careful because it's a bit on the fragile side. But I'm just going to slide this into the groove and drop it in, and I'll get you another shot. Okay, I find the best way to do this is remember that gravity is your friend. So I do these frames upside down like this so I can just kind of align that groove, and then the wax just kind of falls into place. And when you set it down, you can see down here that it just kind of meets this edge and it sits in nice and flat. And that's one thing that's really important. You really want these to sit flat. Some of these frames have these pins on them. I guess I'll show you that from the other side. And those pins are really handy. You don't have to have them, but boy, they make a world of difference. But you see what I'm trying to accomplish here is equal distance from the front and the back, so you don't end up with you know, filled combs that are capped, one side all full and heavy and the other side's very shallow. You want it even. That makes a difference when you go to slide frames in and out. If they're bowed, that can really become a problem when you go to take things out. So avoid future problems, nip it in the bud, so to speak. So anyway, so once you're in like that, then you just got to put your slat back in here, and I'm going to see if I can actually, probably can't reuse this without this being difficult, so I'm probably going to pull these, which means I got to go snag my hammer quick, but I'll pull these out, and then I just use a couple of staples. I found that's the easy way, and it's less pounding and banging. You can see I'm using this cheap plastic table here because it's what I had, and once it got wax on it, I made it my B table because wax doesn't come off of plastic real easy. Alright, carrying on. Okay, so it'll be real obvious to you. One side is your clean edge, one side is your not clean edge, so to speak. And you basically, it's hard to do this with one hand, so I'm not going to do it with one hand. Basically line it up. I'm going to clean this back edge so it'll sit square in there nice. Clean the back edge so it sits in square. You can see that sits nice and square. And then we take the frame and we stand it up. Sorry for the camera work here. We stand it up. We go through with a stapler and we just hold the slat in place and drive our staples home with the staple gun. Okay, you can see where I went along with 3 staples here. Dink, dink, dink. And you notice these aren't really set deep. I press the staple gun hard against it and I get them to set, but all they got to do is catch that. The bees are going to do the rest of this work. They're going to fill this in with propolis and wax and build out nice comb. So that's a reasonably good looking foundation, like that. So there you go. That's one set up. Next.